can love like Jesus. I wanna be a good, good friend, good, good friend, a good, good friend. Oh, I wanna be a good, good friend, just like Jesus. With His help, I will forgive, I will forgive, I will forgive. Oh, with His help, I will forgive, just like
Good morning,
Jesus.
everyone. I hope you had a great week, and I'm glad that you've decided to join back with us again on another great Sunday. This month, we started a brand new series, one of my favorite series if I'm going to be honest, where we're playing some really fun games and learning how to live with responsibility. If you remember one of the rules of life, responsibility is showing that you can be trusted with what is expected of you. This shows how good you are with tasks that you are given. Maybe it's a job or a chore, a rule that you have to follow, or even taking care of a house pet. There are a lot of different things that other people expect of us. If we can show them that we're responsible, then we'll know that they can trust us with anything. And that's why it's so important for us to learn some really great rules of life, so we can play well as take care of other people. Now take a look at this. If you remember from last week, this is our game board. Much like all the other game boards in the world, it helps us to play games together, but also teaches us some really important rules about life. I'll roll the dice, and then we're going to move how many spots the dice has on it. You shout out the number that you see, okay? And then we're going to count together. So the dice is rolled, and our number is 4. Okay, let's count together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, now we have a brand new game, and our game is Don't Throw Away Blank Shot. Oh, I think this is going to be a fun game. If you're watching this at home, you can gather the materials that we see here on the screen. We're going to need 2 baskets or buckets, or something that you would represent a basket or a bucket, and small items that we can toss into them. So the rules of this game are really simple. 1, keep tossing the items into one of the baskets during the entirety of the song. 2, once it's over, count the items and see which team. Our theme song for the month will be playing the entire round of this game. As long as the music is playing, you keep playing. And these baskets will be for 2 teams. One of them will be called My Team, and the other one will be called Their Team. But here's the kicker. You don't get to know whose bucket belongs to who. You see what I'm saying? So as long as the music is playing, each player will go one at a time and toss the small item into one of those buckets, and you can throw them into whatever bucket you want. You can pause the video if you need some time to get your materials ready. On the count of 3, we're going to go. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I believe Jesus is helping me. I can do the things that He does. I can love like Jesus. I believe His light can shine through me. I can do the things that He does. I can love like Jesus. I wanna be a good, good friend, good, good friend, a good, good friend. Oh, I wanna be a good, good friend, just like Jesus. With His help, I will forgive, I will forgive, I will forgive. Oh, with His help, I will forgive, just like Jesus. I believe Jesus is helping me. I can do the things that He does.
I can love like Jesus.
I believe His light can shine through me. I can do the things that He does. I can love like Jesus. I wanna be a good, good friend, a good, good friend, a good, good friend. Oh, I wanna be a good, good friend, just like Jesus. With His help, I will forgive, I will forgive, I will forgive. Oh, with His help, I will forgive, just like Jesus. Everybody now. I can love like Jesus. I can love like Jesus. I can love like Jesus. I can love like Jesus.
Great job, everybody. You played so great, and I loved how you took turns while doing so. That end of the game was a little unexpected, huh? Well, at least for some of you. How did it feel to know that maybe your team hadn't won yet? Did you think you'd lost because you didn't have as much in your basket or bowl? I mean, in any game, the objective is to win, right? You want to make sure you get all the points. It's tempting and sometimes just human nature that sometimes we like to think only about ourselves. Even if we do manage to fill our bowls with all the money, with all the cool stuff we want, sometimes things happen that takes those things away. You see what I'm saying? There are moments where we might be so selfish and so self-centered that we forget about other people. There's an important rule that I want to talk about today, and that's sharing. Sharing is another responsibility that we have. When you share what you have, you can invest your time and resources into other people. And when you're thinking about people, not stuff, that's the kind of responsibility that God wants His followers to have. I want to take a look at a Bible story that helps teach us a very important lesson about sharing. Back when Jesus was on earth, He interacted with a lot of different people. He was teaching and performing miracles, and crowds followed Him wherever He went. They watched carefully how He interacted with other people and how He loved them so tenderly. Oftentimes the Pharisees, those are the religious leaders that we mentioned last week, would ask Him questions, but often there were some people who came to Jesus with questions, and it was about their personal lives, and they needed His help. One day a man spoke up and told Jesus about a problem he was having with his brother. And we find this story in the book of Luke, chapter 12, verse 13. The man said to Jesus, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the family property with me." Now, Jesus could have told this man anything he wanted, but instead, this is what Jesus said. He said, "Friend, who made me the judge or umpire between you?" Then he said, "Watch out. Be on your guard against wanting to have more and more things. Life is not made up of how much a person has." Jesus then proceeds to tell a parable. Now, if you remember, a parable is an earthly story with a heavenly meaning. It was a story about everyday people, but it would teach a very important lesson about God and about how we should interact with others. So he tells this story. There was a rich man growing a large crop on his land. Maybe this crop was corn or wheat. Whatever it was, there were large portions of it, and he needed to store his crops in barns. The rich man thought to himself, "What should I do? I don't have any place to store my crops." Then he decided to tear down his barns and build even bigger barns to store his grain. The man said to himself, "You have plenty of grain stored away for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and have a great time." And that's exactly what this man decided to do. He destroyed his barns and decided to build bigger barns so he could store even more grain. And it seems like the rich man was doing a pretty sweet setup for himself. But not so fast. This is where the story takes a turn. In verse 20, God said to the rich man, "You foolish man, tonight I will take your life away from you. Then who will get all of the stuff that you have prepared for yourself?" The rich man then noticed that he only focused on himself. There was so much he could do with the life he was given, but instead he kept it all for himself. Now at this point, the crowd is gathering around Jesus listening to the story, and this is how Jesus ends his tale. He says, "This is how it will be for whoever stores away things for themselves, but is not rich in the sight of God." In other words, we shouldn't try to keep everything for ourselves. We can choose to live God's way instead, and we can be generous and willing to share. Now, the man who asked Jesus about his property to share with his brother, we're not sure how he responded after listening to the story, but I would imagine that maybe he stopped to think about what was important. Maybe he stopped thinking about just the stuff that him and his brother needed to split. Maybe he thought more about sharing what he had with his brother. While we don't know what he said or did next, we do know a very important lesson that we could learn today. And that is this: share what you have. And no, this isn't talking about sicknesses or bad attitudes, but instead this comes from the same commandment that Jesus gave last week, to love God and love others. See, we share that kindness with everyone around us. Being selfish is the most hurtful act you could give someone. Sharing love in the form of a helping hand, or a prayer, or a story, even things like forgiveness, are the good things we can do. The truth is, no one is going to make you share. I mean, your parents might make you share things with your siblings from time to time, but as you get older, and as you become teenagers, and as you become adults, you'll find more and more that the choice is up to you. The real issue in life is not how many blessings you have, but what you do with your blessings. Some people have many blessings and hoard them, much like the guy in our story. But some have a few and give everything away. Giving just a little bit of kindness can really have a huge impact in the world around you. And sharing is a big way that you can show that you follow Jesus. Remember, Jesus himself lived a life of generosity. In fact, he gave his life freely so that we could be forgiven. You've probably seen recently some really scary things that have been happening on TV. And I know that stuff is really worrisome. The example that we can be as followers of Jesus, even as young as you are, can be great examples. Showing that love of God through your generosity. Sharing with them the message and the truth. Treating others the way that you want to be treated. Those are great things for us to do. So to love God and love others, and to share what you have, those are good things for us to do. And it takes a good person like you to do good things. That's all the time that I have for today, guys. But don't worry, we'll play again next week. I want you to be safe and make wise decisions. Have a great week, and I will see you all next
With
time.
his help, I will forgive, I will forgive, I will forgive. Oh, with his help, I will forgive, just like Jesus. Everybody now. I can love like Jesus. I can love like Jesus. I can love like Jesus. I can love like Jesus.